doubling as the broadcasting booth. Stallions in the clean bowling John Ross Campbell to start the match. Mohamed Irshad. We'll discuss that shortly. This is driven down the ground. It's a good looking. It was a little higher than usual, so only 2 runs there. But as I was saying, Mohamed Irshad delivering a really vicious delivery that caught Rishabh Bardwaj from where it was down for a few minutes, but he's back up. He's currently joined at the wicket by young Shreyan Satish, and it takes a beautiful running catch. So further into the
Brian, and good morning to all our listeners who have tuned in for this. We're going to try and see how these proceedings go. The wicket of John Ross Campbell on the very first ball of the innings, so they're definitely under a lot of pressure.
And both these teams match, and the Stallions bowling has been 26 for 3 by the end of the power play. Is looking right now.
Direction of the over very quickly, but only 4 balls remaining in the power play. My unofficial score. Short ball. Good effort by the batsman to get on top of the ball and cut it down towards the back.
Live scoring. It's Prashant Mande. The skipper has come out himself.
Youngest partner, young Shreyan Satish. It's ball down the leg side. It was a glance. In fact, it was as such. So 1 more run to the total. 26 for 3. Munir, there's a lot of activity and a lot of discussion around the exploits of young Shreyan Satish. Tell us a little bit about what he's been doing in the league here in Houston.
Most definitely. We all who are local to the Houston cricket community have been seeing the development of not just Shreyan but the 2 siblings, Shreyan and Aryan. Shreyan being the elder one at 17 years now, and Aryan the younger at 13. Shreyan comes across as a wonderful all-rounder as he nudges it to point for a single, a shy from the fielder. I think that was close calls for Prashant Mande. I think that might have been curtains if with a direct hit. But coming back to the youngster Shreyan Satish, he's a wonderful batsman. He's been, I think he's been pretty active in the Houston Cricket League circuits for the past 3 years or so. So he started playing adult cricket at the age of 14. So you can almost call him a prodigy. And so is the younger brother. That even he's. I think that was close calls for Prashant Mande. As I was trying to grab link to this stream to post on Facebook for you all. As you know, we are hosting inside our truck with the camera mounted in the back of the bed of the truck. So it's been a very improvisational few days for us. We've been moving all around this field, finding different spots to bring you these broadcasts, and hopefully, I think if the rain stays on our side, we may be able to get a good result on this game and the next one, which is the big championship final. So coming back to the topic of Shreyan, wonderful top order batsman. He is a good seaming all-rounder, bowls at a decent notch, gets the ball to swing, has a very good in-dipper, swings the new ball pretty well. And he's also been playing in the Houston Premier League since he was 14 years old. This is his 3rd season. He won the championship with the Houston Stars in the 2018 edition. And he was with the Stars, if I'm correct, the last year too. And this year he's come to the Powerstars. Wonderful young talent, and I'm glad the Powerstars are giving him the kind of chances where in such a big eliminator do-or-die game, they've Shreyan batting in the top 4.
That's fantastic. He does not seem in any way to be intimidated by the position in which he is now playing. Shreyan beat him up. He's batting in the time.
He's a kid who has a very steady head on his shoulders. He is. I've never seen him nervous in games like these. He's always very calm, has a very calm demeanor about himself, goes straight to his business. You don't see him very chirpy or talkative in the dugouts, always looking to absorb knowledge from the environment he's around. And what I've also seen about both the siblings, which is a testament to the parents, is they've built great work ethic at this young age. As Prashant been giving out,
Did not see a sign that ball through to the keeper.
Edge of Pablos created a man cave. Interesting.
Edward. Stallions were the team cannot.
I was very impressed by the fielder. They continue that same.
The saying in cricket is catches win matches, and a body blow on a triangle. So you were cricketer.
That they never. So local Houston is alongside Ewart. That's the big question right now.
Top order is a guy that's put effectively.
Where I always say this, the teams which have built that, and it's not about his brilliance. Also, like the Pandya brothers, it has depended on young Shobi Cut, the left hand the runs. Successful formula for your French.
Again, which you play hit big towards the end of the innings. His role in the side falls, and then you have a Finley or a cricketer because he can turn it right when the situation demands it.
Oh yes, he's a good friend. He does. You hit the nail, Brian, on that one, slower one. That's why.
Yes,
While he's out there with Sean Finley back in the dugout, he takes that aggressive role, which is.
Boys, you think that it applies to the overall strategy of putting a competitor?
Yeah, so Ewart Nicholson, success comes from partnerships. Good stuff.
So change of bowling from the southern end.
Kamran Sheikh.
Cameron Sheikh is the bowler. Cameron, who has had, I think, a very successful tournament so far with the ball. You see him deliver a really high-pressure spell last night in the Eliminatior against the UMMC Night Riders. He has sort of that Sonoda Ryan method of hiding the ball behind his back before he delivers, so the batsman only finds out at the very last second to what delivery is coming, and he will be bowling to captain Prashant Mane. Ooh, thick outside edge, runs away down the hill. They'll get one, I believe. Ooh, good aggressive running here by the captain. It comes right back for two. The stereotypical fast bowler in the field is not very athletic and not very aggressive running for those balls, and I think on that occasion that would be Najaf Shah from our perspective. Not very fleet-footed, if you will, and
So I think Brian also showing that all of these guys
driven out to deep points. 2 more runs in the offer.
But I think at the same time, it's also a testament to the fitness levels, the work ethic of these players, because we haven't seen any injuries, a player dropping out of a tournament at this stage. They've all showed up every single day with the same game face on, and they go through their normal participating in this Houston Premier League.
No question. A little bit of extra bounce in that delivery. Attempted cut by Prashant Mane is missed, and the ball goes through to keeper Shreyan Satish. Really has proven to be pretty difficult to get away. And from his 4 deliveries from anywhere, including onto the stumps, but for 2, fine leg and third man converging on the.
So Brian, I think when we walk the Sunspin, what do you account
for the entire aim? That to some extent has to be. But you don't get to play as freely when wickets are falling.
Yeah.
Walking across it, if you didn't know that it was raining, not scoring freely. 12 down, and if you thought about batting through this entire inning, going back to the pavilion.
The Houston Cricket League game, this was a good platform for him because he got to take this up a notch and make sure.
From behind the stump, incoming batsman very shortly, but Ewart Nicholson and it made.
And the new batsman is can also take the scores, and if he can turning out to be respectable total at this.
The generator spitting, and although we had plenty of time lost yesterday, and the Sun Reserve didn't have to be finished until Bangladesh.
I think he's been playing a style of play up his ribcage and ricocheted on the TOG of the old. It's quite a competitive setup, and they're doing pretty good, Bunkish. And with the loss of his wicket, I think see who the new batsman is. Brian, you as the captain in the dugout, given your at.
Oh my goodness, you'd hate to be in this situation because I would say that the conversation would be that you can throw the kitchen sink at the second ball that we're facing.
Yeah.
So, he is the senior partner. He certainly scored. Wanting him to fall and get going, then that's our best chance of, at least from the second ball, give yourself the best chance to put a competitive total on. You would have thought that you've given yourself competitive for your bowlers to strike, but you're certainly looking to make sure helps present themselves to score runs.
The car is so warm Monday, and at this innings, but be really difficult for them to pull this through. Fielder there, but means bowlers don't do anything.
Bowler is Owazia, and an off spinner to get away. Overrun for 6 in Powerstars. Game plan. You don't want to see an unlimited over scenario. You score runs, and you're also making sure that while you're not taking chances, sitting and absorbing that ball after that ball.
That the way this innings has panned, interesting point about the depth, and in those cases, guys like back to that point after this next ball, who can see that one bucket, that more often than not, and pretty well. But coming back to that point, always relying as this is him approach a cricket ball. It was an easy catch. Ali would take HPL. You'll see the teams that have gone to win the championships. They do not that defensive midfielder who would give them 5 to 6 goals.
Like yesterday, against about 8 of those bats.
Stallions probably won't be playing this game, right?
Jawad, Khaled, or somebody like that. That really does make the difference. And so,
misses the leg stump. Hasn't really connected much, but as being point from last do was get the right hovering overhead. And finally find a good spot to said shattered. So I think that brings us
hit a single boundary.
Oh, no, that I remember it. No, yes, they did. Which he was struck on the delivery as sort of an individual in the context of the overall war. He's using these Powerstars indefinitely.
Most definite for this innings, and you would see they were everything. They just haven't got going.
3 or 4 balls. So
Have to pull up a stat relating to of the sixes in this tournament.
Campbell. So we're basically talking about all the West Indies.
We've got Damien Ebanks at number 3, Hamad Azam surprisingly at 4, just Karan 6 games. Even Navin Stewart features there with 11 sixes, at 18 sixes from 6 games.
It's 16 sixes, but even 13 runs from him, which is the highest only century.
And in the meantime, another 6 has been smacked. Oh, it was Will Perkins sitting at the top with his knock 1. John Campbell again with 71. And Millen
Puts in a little bit of with 2 big sixes, 1 over now at the point where he's decided, look, it's time to start. If anything along those lines is going to happen, then that will be largely dependent on whatever he's able
in this innings, and if they were at par with some kind of a decent score rate, they would up the ante, or like there's no coming back here. This innings, Stallions probably won't find
16 from that over. Again, from my unofficial, been joined at the wicket, Nicholson by Jivan Kumar.
Got some momentum into this innings and strike.
No question. Over the innings. 25 now, obviously, from spinners, infant bowler, who was currently bowling Ryan does before he delivered, would not have been familiar with. When you're looking to see where the runs go to the next 4 put together approaches.
Interesting question, Brian, and it's quite a dilemma up front, and then he comes back for his second spell to finish off the innings. And we have analyzed this quite a bit with bowlers in the mold of Najaf Shah, Sean Finn the balls. So as batsman tries to cut, go after him. Those are the steady overs. But in the case of Powerstars, they've been sitting pretty in the middle of any other choice but to try and get after Najaf Shah at this point.
Opening bowler, left arm, aggressive.
Let's cut it off.
From the north end, who is this bowler?
Yeah. And the thing is, don't get me wrong, in no way I'm trying to impress that if Najaf is so, if you know that these guys would be finishing the inning, 4 overs go for 35 runs, you can take it.
Yes.
that we already did the good for 50 in the last port, the strike. I think it's going to really come down to that's also an interesting observation we've been making. Front foot and tonk him to the west field. Does he have that level of skill? I'm not doubting the time comes. Let's
Diminutive. All that is short of a length getting to the rib is a ball that is getting to Nicholson higher up. Is he going to be able to get inside the line and flick that ball over backwards again? And Joel Garner, somebody like that from years ago, where the ball is either going to be tickling your rib cage or look at this shot. But to the point I was making just now, Najaf Shah will definitely give you those rib ticklers, but he also has a really good Yorker because that full and straight one can also come at any point in time. And he's actually, a few years ago when I first saw him bowl for the first time, I was more impressed with his ability to bowl Yorkers than either with him repeat the shot and then just kind of step inside
a couple of balls with a 50% success rate. So at that time, Hamad, he should be able to get back for two.
Yes, I should definitely be two.
Slowish outfield still. I'm surprised it is.
Itself is a little bit thick.
Yeah, we've seen shots like these break these 4 to 5 days of the Eastern Premier League.
Sure. What an amazing tournament this far. It's the ability to see truly scintillating cricket on most back to the live action. We're looking now at OSC, huge swipe and a miss outside.
Brian, I would have preferred to be probably in Mexico with a Virgin broadcasting studio.
Think about cricket anymore. Oh, where's this ball going? Oh, no.
Oh, that's pretty.
Oh.
And do they get through for a single? They do.
Umpire, so that might not have been about behind him. Shreyan not able to break the stumps in time, and eventually they did a single. Won't make a huge difference in overall context because only 2 overs and 2 balls remaining.
I'd say this was the finals game, and that was Sean Finley and John.
And so yet another wheel falls. Unfortunately, departs. Big swap.
That's out.
Nicholson goes.
That's out.
Now 94-8.
Struck. We are exercising as that was umpire Sadik giving out the out signal.
New batsman. In fact, that's
Ronald's a big hitter.
okay.
Yeah.
If there were ever a time to prove that he's a big hitter, then to provide a bit of impetus for the back end of this innings. So that's the end of the.
And Brian, while we were engrossed in these discussions, was it because it was against the wind? I think Evertmead could have stopped it if he bent down, but
Strong as it was yesterday, but certainly you would have been hitting that ball into the wind scan. That's a huge hit. 2.
6 runs.
The name of the batsman. And more of those.
often misfire. But occasionally I do get Ronald the way he literally took a couple of steps. If he made good connection, I think that there's no fear. That have been a welcome boundary had he made some connection.
Absolutely.
They're getting to a respectable score, but I think it may still be.
By the fastball, they call it wide, in fact. So he's not going to be happy with that because Hamad has him. But there is no fastball. And this, the first delivery of this over that was hit over sort of wide, long on for to fine leg. 2 runs to the total. Did they come back for 3? No.
Even not opting to wear a helmet to an international player of Hamad's stature. And he really dug in that previous ball, and
Yes,
I was
he
a
did.
bit concerned for his safety.
Wide outside off. And huge wave and a miss.
And look, another factor in the Powerstars, many teams have realized that, and oh, okay. For the first few days, and you could see they started scoring more runs whenever the outfield was on their side, and they also said that the Stallions were not good at chasing, so that's something that they definitely considered, the slow outfield, but they realized that they'd rather have the Stallions chasing, and they had that on their priority list over the slow outfield. So that's like one of those fun elimination.
Thoughts? Munir, 4 days ago produced a color commentator without even young Moise, who was taken.
Heartening to see because no offenses. This is clear. Oh, beautifully taken. He stays well inside the boundary. His observations that he's now making. All I as a cricketing analyst now in this commentary team of ours.
I would completely agree with that. He commented, and he said, "No, I don't know cricket," which is just a shocking statement to hear.
Heard adjectives and French vocabulary like this and he's all into the weeds now.
Slap over
Head.
extra cover nailed actually head, and that is the end of the innings.
Search and start
The title of your new YouTube podcast.
completely bowled out. If this was especially against a lot of boundaries for the Stallions, do it in less than 12. If they
I don't think that they'll be looking necessarily to close it. And not sure who the opener will be, but always I think will play his normal next. Then that might pull them back a little bit, but simply wicket and ball. But just I don't doubt that they would do this. But if there's maybe one or two batsmen who have not had enough match practice, you could potentially experiment and put them up towards the top of the order just to get some additional practice. But either way, with the number of options that are available to you as a chase to defend. So overall, I think that they'll be pretty disappointed with this batting effort. An effort that was sort of solidified with the very first delivery of the innings. And from this point on, it would be, at this point, it's really hard to make an argument for the Powerstars being able to win this match.
look, here's the thing. Close this out quickly so they can conserve their energy. Yesterday, Ned Shah, when we spoke to him after the pitch, he spoke to Munir and said, "We'll have to play 2 games tomorrow, yeah, back to back." And he said, "Yeah, deep and everything, but the Stallions have had to worry about this game against the Powerstars, who are actually at the top of the order. So they worrying at 3:30 is when the next game starts. So they can finish this in like
How simple perspective this generation brings to things in life. Awful.
I completely agree with you.
Dugout right not we all got interest generate.
Circumspect or the more that they can leap over tall buildings, and very much the possibility of being able, let's say, Isaiah gets out early and then they treat him, push the ball around and get ones and twos, but there's different approaches that you can take, and the one is let's make sure that we win this game. So okay, we've been betting all week. My number is 15. What is yours?
I think
Player. He's that kind of a gritty customer. You know Shreyan talks to himself a lot of times. And if I'm a bit, what are you doing? That's Shreyan for you. So I think I would expect finals.
and that's why he's number 3 in the batting order usually. I expect nothing more from Oasia than to just come guns a-blazing, like 6-6-4, maybe out, or like 6-6-4, 6-4-2, out, or something like that. Out, which is not what you want to do as an opening batsman, but it is what it is. First, Stallions should win this with their batting order and their pacing, so I don't know.
I think it's interesting that you talk when you're about Shreyan talking to himself. Back when I played in the league here in the late 1990s, we used to have a teammate, Willie from Dominica. Step forward, drive out to the covers. That's a lovely shot from the covers there performed by Willie.
I would love to be on that field with him.
It was amazing. I used to love batting with him just for that reason.
Us who we all have had our idols. And when we were young, the bat, Brian Lara just caressed one through the 4. Playing the Sachin drive.
Sachin was first minus March, maybe 150 or so. It's hard to know helmet and more.
It's almost like that you grew up. For me, it was Sachin and Lara, and but our generation didn't get to see a lot of him up. That who is this phenomena? Who is this enigma? All you find on YouTube is that particular innings of him, and what blew my mind when I saw that for the first time was the ease with which clearly looked ferocious in that spell.
Oh my God,
I don't
yes.
think these days we even come across bowlers. These things a lot for us.
Yep.
Technology in shoes and a lot of other things has been a lot of other different bowlers.
Sure.
But that whole experience, a come running into you and you being maybe a fight,
Yes.
lot of arrogance and just flicking him off your hips. Anything outside the off, you cut it late, backward of point, and that can also cricket.
Yeah.
Someone can also do that. I never imagined.
Big with him, Lily specifically, the way that he did, as impressively as he did, is something I still marvel about. Okay, so we do have a game here to cover.
Yeah, and we literally got so poetic in that Kali Charan exam. We missed the first ball of the innings, and as I was looking through the windscreen, the first question that popped to my head is, defending 110, why did you not start with the second slip?
You have to take wickets. You absolutely have to take wickets. You're not going to restrict them to less than 110 unless that's a wide. Got to be a wide.
Yeah, Ali Bangish, I think, or is that Sankit? I think that's Sankit. That's Ali Bangish. He's picked up a lot of wickets for
Yeah, I
the
think he
Power
was someone
Stars.
that you would save towards like the middle innings to break partnerships because he did get that double hat trick at one point towards the late portion of the game. But I think Mane has definitely become desperate for wickets. That's why he's putting him in right now. And on the subject of like bowlers with a lot of emphasis, I get reminded of like Lockie Ferguson. If you've seen his bowling action, he
Interesting.
releases.
That's an
It's
interesting
super
point.
aggressive. Like
Okay.
if you watch it on YouTube or something, Lockie Ferguson bowling, his bowling animation is just truly one that's aggressive and frightening to be a bowler. And Sheldon Cottrell as well, but that's because I think his bowling thing it looks angelic almost. It's so perfect, it's so beautiful.
Angelic.
Moise is getting poetic too now.
That's an interesting word to use. Well, started out all guns blazing, Moise. So I think your wish for the game to be over with in 7 overs may not quite come to fruition.
I changed it to 12.
So right on over the wicket is Ali Bangish now. He started out bowling around the wicket to the left-handed Owazia. We will confirm who the right-handed bat is shortly. I believe that might be Cameron Sheikh.
Oh, wow.
Delivery.
He's working up some serious pace.
Delivery.
Yeah, there was some hesitation towards the end by Cameron Sheikh. I don't know what he did, like twitching his bat towards the end. But yeah, it definitely was a very aggressive delivery by Hamza. You can tell he's trying his absolute hardest to get a wicket.
Brian, the way he has started, honestly, I wouldn't back off in putting a guy under the hood right next to the batsman. This is do or
You
die.
have to pull out all the stops.
hmm
I'll say more after this delivery.
Oh my
Great
goodness,
delivery,
what a
man.
spell.
So, yes. Immediately, second slip, particularly to the right-hander because the ball is swinging away from him. I certainly would not be discouraged to put somebody under the helmet at either backward or forward short leg because more than anything else, again, you're not going to, the score is not going to be 114 or 104-4-6. One way or the other, the game is going to be ended either by chasing side, and this is down the leg side for a while, either for the Stallions eclipsing the target of 108 or by the Powerstars bowling out the Stallions. And so if you're going to look to sort of inject an element of giving yourself a chance into this current situation, I would do exactly what you just suggested. I would certainly put somebody under the helmet. I'd be a lot more aggressive in the field settings. You have a sweeper deep down on the offside, sort of a deep point. I don't know that you don't bring that guy in and put some more pressure on the batsman because that fielder right there is for the slash. Maybe I don't know. We'll say more in a second. In fact, that shot right there might have been one that you would think would have ended up in the hands of the sweeper deep point. But more to the point, you get more guys in. You put a second slip in. You maybe put a short cover, maybe not short cover, but put someone strike side, put a fan-in shot that's in the ribs. You have to do something else to sort of manufacture a wicket at this stage because otherwise it just becomes match practice for the final for the Stallions. And I don't think that if you're the Power Stars, that's what you want to have happen.
And it was the first ball of the innings, so Vezia on strike. Genuine Nick goes straight into, and it wasn't the kind of flying Nicks. It literally he opened him up,
Correct.
and it almost lobbed to a dolly second slip chest high catch, but there was no one there. And honestly, watching that first over from Ali Bangash, I think this was reminiscent of the Wahab Riaz to Shane Watson, 2015.
Oh.
Was it 2015 World Cup over?
Oh. I will tell you, I was at the time, I used to do some contract work with ESPN, so I was working. I'll say more in a second. Right arm over the wicket. Oh, that is
Got
such
it!
a great point for a wicket. Oh, I have got to tell you, that was the most tame dismissal from somebody who is one of the most aggressive batsmen in the tournament. So this approach, I mentioned earlier that I thought he would come out and play his natural game. This is not his natural game. His natural game is much more aggressive than this. And a ball that is short and wide outside off stump, ordinarily you would think he'd be throwing the kitchen sink at that ball. It would be flying over the slip cord and down to the boundary for four. He essentially guided that ball straight to backward point.
He did, yeah, and it almost was a loosener from Sanketh.
Yes!
I didn't see a lot of like venom behind that ball. Ali Bangash hit the ground running. First ball, he was right on the money, breathing fire. Sanketh, I think he gently ran in and just let go of that ball. And Oves, in the same notion, said, okay, let me just glide it to that fielder waiting there for that ball. Okay, here's the money man, the one we spoke of. Walks in, Shreyan Jangir. Let me see if I can quickly, from our make do setup, pull up the Shreyan graphics. We worked so hard to get you. Here we go.
Fantastic.
There you go.
Well, how much of a difference does this make in the overall context of the game? Yet to be seen. Cricket is a funny old game. Anything can happen. All those usual qualifiers. You would think that Shreyan would be a steadying force at this point, and then wanting to stay there long enough to be able to push on towards the end and guide his team home to victory. I don't think that the game plan would have included Awazia meekly guiding the ball directed to backward point for a wicket.
Shreyan's tournament average looks like 194. That means he just got out once in this tournament.
Wow.
That's staggering.
Yep.
And he's played 6 games, 194 runs, 150, 230s, and high score of 50. So, like we were saying, he's the key man for the Stallions in a chase like this. The stats tell you that he's been the one who's seen the innings through on more than one occasion. And he really is that kind of a player. Puts a value on his wicket as he faces Sanketh now. Let's go outside the off stump. Yeah, he's showing that grit from ball number 2. Ready to leave those balls outside off stump, knowing that the required rate is 5.5.
And it's obviously an interesting quirk in the way that cricket averages are calculated, Munir, because I sometimes have trouble explaining to my non-cricket friends how is it that the top score that he scored is 50, but his average is almost 200.
So let's throw that at a good friend in the backseat. Moyes, Shreyan averages 194 runs per innings in this HPL. How do you explain that for our viewers?
With his top score being 50.
It's called consistency.
So that doesn't answer the question.
Then you, again, Moyes, you pulled another fast one like you've been doing the last few days.
No, but for real, he is quite consistent and he knows when. He's very educated and disciplined batsman. He knows when to go for a boundary. He knows when to hold off. And especially in this T20 format, I see a lot of batsmen, they're kind of confused. Like, there's some batsmen who do the same shot every time and expect to get a six, and it works once for them. They do it five more times and they get out. But Shreyan is one of those batsmen who's not confused at all. Um, he's consistent with his batting. He gets good runs. He makes partnerships. So he comes in at number three.
So, Moise, you mentioned that I think you said a couple of years ago, you made some money in the summer by coaching a debate team, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
I
you
see
going
where that ability came from. Because you can filibuster with the best of them and actually make a very consistent argument without actually knowing the response to the question we're asking you. That's pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah. I was gonna say when Moise started his answer, my response was don't shoot shotgun, but I got so intrigued by his analysis
Where he was going with
that I listened to it all the way through.
And it was impressive. There's no doubt it was impressive. Didn't address the question we asked at all, but it was impressive.
Good
So
job, Moise.
can you give me another chance to answer the question?
So let's rephrase the question, Brian. I'll let you explain it to Moise.
The question is, ooh, viciously pulled. My grass does not hold that one up. It goes all the way to Tobacco Square Leg for 4. So the question is, if his highest score in the tournament thus far is 50, how can his average be almost 4 times his highest score? His average is 194.
That's in the tournament, which means, right? What is this, like a brain teaser or
It's
something?
not at all a brain teaser.
I think we need to go offline, take a commercial break now.
Because I think he's figured out that he's not going to be able to filibuster his way out of this one. At some point, you're going to say, okay, I give up. What's the answer?
Yeah, what is the answer? I'm curious now.
It's a light bulb moment. Let me see if I can project the animation of a light bulb.
No, look,
Brian explains this to
he
you, Moise.
averages 190 per HPL tournament, right? That's the runs overall. And then his high score is 50, which means he scores 40, 50 in like almost every game.
Here's the answer to the question. Your average in cricket is calculated by the total number of runs that you have scored. So I'll finish that part shortly.
Beautiful.
Divided by the number of times that you've gotten out.
Oh, yeah, I did not know that. You can't hold that against me.
Which is why we're asking.
I'm not a cricket player.
So if you and I are on the same team,
Mm-hmm.
you're an opener, I come in at let's say number 9. In 10 straight games, you score 100 and you get out all 10 times. Your aggregate is 1,000, your average is 100. In 10 straight games, I come in at number 9, I score 10 runs each time. I'm not out 9 of those 10 times. On the 10th time, I get out. My aggregate is 100, but my average is also 100.
This is a flawed system. This is a flawed system.
I think that's the point Brian was in a subtle way, trying to make all along, right, Brian?
That's exactly right. So that's one of the most deceptive numbers in cricket. It's very difficult sometimes to make an argument for a batsman based on his average.
Mm-hmm.
Because based on where he comes in the order, based on what his generate that extra 1 or 2 yards of pace, and those are the differences sometimes between success and non-success as a bowler. Just observe something. This ball is pulled in the air. That's going to be over the top of that fielder running around from the square leg. Does he get? He pulls it back just in time to get 2. I noticed that before the first 3 balls of this over, Ali Bangesh was bowling around the wicket to the right-hander. And so the idea there, I'm thinking, maybe, and he was bowling short, so maybe they were trying to get that man at deep backward point who's down on the boundary. Maybe they were trying to get that ball in, or that guy in play. I don't mind seeing that. You're looking for different ways to be able to manufacture wickets. You know, they tried it for 2 or 3 times and it didn't work, so they went back to bowling over the wicket. But those are the types of innovations that Prashant Mane is going to have to start considering in order to come up with ways here to be able to manufacture a wicket.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, Brian. Especially because I think, given Ali Bunkish is the key bowler for Powerstars and he's bowled 2 overs, hasn't got a wicket yet, his 4 overs are very crucial. So
Yes.
Prashant has to think and give him everything in his support, throw the kitchen sink at it, and see if how he can get more wickets out of Ali.
Oh, bowled him. That is a great delivery. Very full, very straight. Big drive over, long on is where Cameron Sheikh was aiming.
Ikra.
Oh, Ikra. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Ikra. So Ikra looking to drive well over long on, completely missed. And the furniture is disturbed. So another wicket goes down. 18.
That's ours.
As certainly no need to panic just yet, but I think that if there were any thoughts of being aggressive, that those thoughts may be just shelved for a few overs in order to get things back under control here.